Imagine walking into a room and commanding attention, not with words but with presence. The less you speak, the more people listen. The more you observe, the sharper your mind becomes. In a world that rewards noise, true power belongs to those who embrace silence. For centuries, Stoic philosophers understood this secret. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. They knew that restraint isn't weakness, it's strength. When you learn to control your words, you master your emotions. When you listen more, you understand more. And when you resist the urge to react impulsively, you gain the upper hand in every situation. Right now, think about the times you've said too much, revealed your plans too early, or let emotions dictate your response. What if instead you pause? What if your silence spoke louder than any argument? This video will change the way you see power, control, and influence. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll understand why the strongest people don't need to shout. They move in silence and the world follows. If you're ready to tap into this power, hit that like button and let's begin. Number 1, silence is power. Have you ever noticed how the most influential people in a room are often the ones who speak the least? Their presence commands attention, not through loud words, but through quiet confidence. Meanwhile, those who constantly talk often reveal too much, weaken their authority, or even set themselves up for failure. Think of a negotiator in a high-stakes deal. The one who rushes to fill the silence often loses leverage, while the one who waits forces the other party to reveal more than they intended. Silence, when used wisely, is not emptiness, it is control. Many of history's greatest leaders, philosophers, and strategists understood this. The legendary Stoic philosopher, Zeno of Citium, once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Those who speak less listen more, learn more, and ultimately wield greater influence. Silence is not about withholding opinions or being afraid to speak up. It is about choosing words carefully, understanding that not every situation requires a response, and knowing that restraint often carries more power than reaction. A skilled warrior does not swing his sword at every opportunity. He waits for the right moment to strike. Similarly, a wise person does not engage in every argument or reveal every thought, because once words are spoken, they cannot be taken back. Throughout history, great minds have understood the power of silence. Consider Abraham Lincoln, who was known for his thoughtful pauses in speech. Rather than responding impulsively, he took his time to weigh his words, ensuring that when he did speak, people listened. Or take Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history, who emphasizes the importance of patience, observation, and knowing when to stay silent in negotiations. But how do you cultivate this skill? It begins with observation. The next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to fill every pause. Let silence settle. It makes others more likely to reveal their true thoughts. Before responding to criticism or provocation, take a moment to breathe and ask yourself, does this require my energy? Not every battle is worth fighting, and often silence itself is the strongest response. Imagine if you had never said that one thing you later regretted. How different would the outcome have been? The ability to remain silent when necessary is a skill that brings wisdom, control, and respect. It is not a sign of weakness, but of intelligence. And when you finally do choose to speak, your words will carry more weight than ever before. Master silence, and you master yourself. And once you do, the next step is learning the art of listening, because true power doesn't come from speaking, it comes from understanding. Number 2, listen first, speak last. Have you ever truly listened, not to respond, but to understand, not to argue, but to absorb? We often believe that power lies in speaking, in persuasion, in having the sharpest words. But the truth is, the less you speak, the more power you hold. The power of observation, of understanding, of wisdom. Think about your daily conversations. When someone is speaking to you, what is your mind doing? Are you genuinely listening, or are you just waiting for your turn to speak? Most people don't listen to understand. They listen to reply. They wait for a gap to insert their opinions, to prove they know more, to gain recognition. But in doing so, they miss the greatest opportunity, the opportunity to learn. Aristotle once said, "It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it." A truly strong mind does not rush to argue or impose. It knows how to remain silent, to absorb, to reflect, and to speak only when necessary. Listening is not passive. It requires discipline, focus, and humility. To truly listen, you must set aside your ego, resist the urge to express yourself immediately, and open yourself up to what others have to say. This doesn't just help you understand the world better, it helps you understand yourself. In silence, you hear your deepest thoughts, the ones usually drowned out by the noise of daily life. You begin to notice patterns in your thinking, unconscious emotional reactions, and outdated beliefs that no longer serve you. Mastering the art of listening is mastering the art of self-control. As the Bible wisely advises, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. The ability to listen first and speak last is not just a communication skill, it is a life skill. Those who listen carefully before speaking do not just command respect. They understand the world in ways others never will. Throughout history, some of the most influential figures have understood this truth. Great leaders, thinkers, and strategists did not gain their wisdom through endless talking. They gained it through careful listening. Consider the greatest military minds, generals who waited, observed, and only acted when the moment was right. They knew that rushing to speak, to act, or to decide often led to regret. The same applies to daily life. The more you listen, the more information you gather. And with information comes the power to make better decisions, form stronger relationships, and avoid unnecessary mistakes. Try something simple. The next time you're in a conversation, pause before responding. Resist the urge to react instantly. Allow silence to exist. Sometimes in that quiet space, the truth becomes clearer. You may realize the other person doesn't need a response. They just need to be heard. You may notice that what you were about to say isn't necessary. And sometimes your silence carries more weight than any words ever could. Here's the unexpected part. Listening doesn't just help you learn from others, it earns you respect. When you speak less and show that you value your words enough not to use them carelessly, people start to listen. Your silence becomes a form of power, an aura that commands attention. The greatest influencers are not those who talk the most, but those who speak with purpose. Listening also builds deeper relationships. When people feel truly heard, they trust you. They open up. They see you as someone who values them, not just for what they say, but for who they are. In business, in friendships, in family, and in leadership, the ability to listen can transform the way people perceive you. It is one of the simplest yet most profound ways to build connection and influence. So which path will you choose? Will you keep talking, trying to prove yourself, or will you learn to listen, to truly understand? Real power is not in eloquent speech, it is in the controlled silence behind it. Try it, just once. Hold back your words and observe. The world will reveal itself to you in a way you've never seen before. And once you understand the power of listening, you will no longer waste your words. Have you ever had a moment where simply listening taught you something invaluable? If this message resonates with you, join us on this journey, because this isn't just an idea, it's a way of life. Number 3, control your words, conquer your emotions. Have you ever spoken in anger only to regret it moments later? A sharp remark, a careless outburst, then suddenly you wish you could take it back. But words once spoken cannot be unsaid. They have the power to heal or wound, to build or destroy. What if, instead of reacting impulsively, you could pause, observe, and choose your words wisely? In a world where people rush to defend themselves, to prove a point, or to outtalk others, the one who controls their words holds the greatest power. Silence is not weakness. On the contrary, it is a sign of deep inner strength. The ability to remain composed when provoked is a rare and valuable skill. Think of a time when someone said something that angered you. What was your first instinct? To argue? To lash out? Now imagine if you had simply paused, breathed before responding. Would your words have been different? Would they have been necessary at all? True power does not come from speaking the loudest or arguing the most. It comes from knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. A wise person chooses their battles carefully. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every disagreement needs to become a war. Some victories are won not through confrontation, but through restraint. Consider history's greatest leaders. They were not reckless with their words. Instead, they spoke with precision, understanding that speech is a tool, one that must be used with purpose. A true leader does not need to raise their voice to assert authority. In fact, it is often their silence that speaks the loudest. Napoleon Bonaparte once said, "Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake." When someone provokes you, your best response is not always to argue, but to let them reveal their own ignorance. People who talk too much often say more than they should. They expose their weaknesses, their fears, their lack of self-control. But the one who remains calm, measured, and composed gains the upper hand. This is not about suppressing emotions. It is about mastering them. Imagine your mind as a river. When it is calm and still, everything beneath the surface is clear. But when disturbed, it becomes muddy, clouded, and chaotic. A person who cannot control their words cannot control their mind. And someone who lacks self-control can never truly lead, influence, or succeed. The Bible says, "Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues." Resisting the urge to react instantly is a mark of wisdom. When you control your words, you make people pay attention. Your silence creates mystery, making others curious about your thoughts. When you do speak, your words carry more weight. But there is another hidden power in silence. It allows you to listen. Most people listen to reply, not to understand. But those who remain silent and truly observe the world around them gain insight that others miss. They see patterns in people's words and behaviors. They recognize opportunities and threats before they arise. The next time you feel the urge to argue, pause. The next time someone insults you, breathe. Before you speak, ask yourself, will my words make this situation better? Or am I speaking just to satisfy my emotions? If the answer is the latter, let silence be your strength. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult's worth addressing. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Those who master their words master themselves. And once you control yourself, you control your destiny. Number 4, humility unlocks true strength. Have you ever noticed that the most powerful person in the room is often the one who speaks the least? They don't rush to dominate the conversation. They don't feel the need to list their achievements. And they certainly don't waste energy trying to prove themselves. Yet when they do speak, every word carries weight. Why? Because they understand a simple truth. The less you speak, the more power you hold. Think back to the last time you encountered someone who couldn't stop boasting. Perhaps it was a colleague constantly talking about their accomplishments, a friend endlessly flaunting their extravagant travels, or a family member proudly emphasizing their sacrifices. Did their words truly impress you, or did they simply exhaust you? Many believe that speaking more will earn them recognition, but the reality is quite the opposite. The more someone tries to prove their worth with words, the more people begin to doubt them. On the other hand, those who act with quiet confidence tend to earn the deepest respect. You don't need to seek validation. Let your actions speak for you. A man who works hard without complaining is far more trustworthy than someone who constantly reminds others of their efforts. A woman who helps others without seeking recognition is far more admirable than someone who publicizes every good deed on social media. When you stop seeking approval, you start owning your true value. A king once ruled over a great kingdom. He had 2 sons, one who was loud and boastful, and another who was quiet and observant. The elder son always sought attention, constantly reminding everyone of his royal lineage, his victories in tournaments, and his supposed intelligence. The younger son, however, never boasted. He listened more than he spoke, observed more than he acted, and when he did act, his decisions were wise and impactful. One day, the king decided to test his sons to determine who was truly worthy of the throne. He sent them on a journey to a distant land with the simple task of bringing back something that would benefit the entire kingdom. The elder son, eager to prove himself, boasted to everyone about how he would return with great riches and rare treasures. However, his arrogance made him reckless. He spent more time showing off than actually seeking what was needed. He made enemies along the way and wasted his resources on unnecessary battles. The younger son, on the other hand, remained humble and observant. He listened to the needs of the people in the distant land and discovered a new method of farming that could increase food production in the kingdom. Instead of seeking personal glory, he thought about how his actions could truly benefit others. When they returned, the elder son brought back gold, expecting admiration. The younger son, however, brought knowledge, something far more valuable than wealth. The king, seeing the wisdom in his humility and his ability to think beyond himself, chose him as the rightful heir. This story reflects a truth about life. Those who seek recognition often gain little, while those who focus on meaningful actions gain everything. But silence isn't just about humility, it's about control. The person who reacts impulsively, who argues at every provocation, is the easiest to manipulate. Have you ever been so angered by someone that you lost your composure? In that moment, they controlled you. But when you learn to stay calm, to pause instead of reacting, you take back your power. A person who speaks sparingly, who controls their words, who isn't led by fleeting emotions, this is a person of true strength. The Bible offers a powerful reminder. Set a guard over my mouth, Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Psalm 141, verse 3. To place a guard over your mouth means knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. This doesn't mean you should never voice your thoughts. It simply means you should be selective. Speak only when it truly matters, and when you do, people will listen. You can put this into practice immediately. In your next meeting, instead of speaking just to fill the silence, contribute only when you have something meaningful to say. When someone boasts, resist the urge to compete. Just smile. When someone tries to provoke you, don't take the bait. Stay silent. At first, this might feel uncomfortable, but soon you'll realize that you're gaining control over yourself. People often assume that power comes from controlling others. In reality, the greatest power is mastering yourself. And when you do that, you won't need words to prove anything. People will feel your strength without you ever having to say a thing. And what happens when you master silence? Instead of wasting energy on unnecessary arguments, you channel it inward, building an unshakable inner force. Number 5, protect your energy, guard your mind. Have you ever felt completely drained without really knowing why? Not because of overwork, not because of intense physical training, but simply because you talk too much. Every word you speak depletes your energy. Meaningless conversations, unnecessary complaints, and pointless arguments, all of them slowly drain your strength, like a phone running dozens of background apps you never even realized were open. Take a moment to reflect on your day. You wake up, scroll through your phone, read the news, and discuss stories that have no real impact on your life. At work, you engage in small talk at the coffee station, listening to colleagues complain about their boss, their coworkers, or their workload. After work, you gather with friends, spending hours gossiping about others or debating a topic that, in truth, no one really cares to resolve. By the end of the day, you feel exhausted, mentally drained. But ask yourself, was anything truly meaningful accomplished? Those who hold real power do not waste their energy on such things. They choose silence when words are unnecessary. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." He understood that every word should carry weight, because when you speak less, you think more. You gain control over yourself. And when you control yourself, you influence the way the world responds to you. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. As a young boy, he was arrogant, boasting to his brothers that he would one day rise above them, that they would bow before him. His words bred resentment, and his brothers, consumed by jealousy, sold him into slavery. If Joseph had held his tongue, would his fate have been different? Perhaps. But what is more remarkable is what he learned through suffering. Silence. When he worked for Potiphar, he did not complain about the injustice he faced. When he was falsely accused and thrown into prison, he did not waste his breath on futile defenses. And in that patience, he grew stronger. When his moment came, when he stood before Pharaoh, he did not squander his words on self-promotion. He spoke only what mattered, and those words changed his destiny. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Speak less, influence more. When you speak less, your words gain power. If you observe the most influential people around you, you'll notice they are rarely the ones talking the most. They don't try to impress others with excessive words, nor do they feel the need to argue every point. They understand that silence holds its own strength. You'll see this in great leaders, master negotiators, and successful entrepreneurs. They let others speak first. They listen, they observe, and they only respond when necessary. And when they do, people listen. Starting today, try a simple exercise. Cut your words in half. The next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to respond immediately. Pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, is this truly worth saying? Will it add value to me or to someone else? If not, stay silent. You'll begin to notice something incredible. You'll have more energy. Your thoughts will become sharper. And most importantly, the words you do choose to speak will carry far more weight. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're halfway through. But this is only the surface. The next part will show you how to turn silence into a real strategy, one that will make you stronger in your career, relationships, and personal growth. And if this resonates with you, hit like, not for me, but as a commitment to yourself that you are on the right path. Keep going. There's so much more waiting for you. Number 6, silence wins in a noisy world. Have you ever sat in a cafe and overheard someone talking endlessly? They go on and on about their job, their relationships, and how great they are. Yet when you leave, you can't recall a single meaningful thing they said. Their words don't linger, don't resonate. They're just background noise, a stream of sounds that pass through your ears and fade into nothing. Now think of someone you truly respect, someone who, when they speak, makes you pause and listen. They don't say much, but every word carries weight. It could be a wise friend, a mentor, or even an old man sitting quietly on a park bench. You may not remember exactly what they said, but you remember how they made you feel. That is the power of silence. In a world drowning in noise, silence is a weapon. Those who speak less but think more are the ones in control. When you hold back from unnecessary chatter, you become more observant, more perceptive. You are no longer swept into meaningless debates or dragged into the chaotic rhythm of those who constantly seek attention. Instead, you begin to see patterns, read people better, and position yourself strategically in conversations and situations. You master yourself, and when you master yourself, you master the situation. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. When you talk too much, you place your value in what others think of you. You try to impress, to prove something, to gain approval. But when you embrace silence and let your actions speak, you reclaim your power. You are no longer at the mercy of others' opinions, no longer desperate for validation. Instead, you carry yourself with quiet confidence, knowing that true strength doesn't need to announce itself, it simply exists. This isn't just about controlling your words, it's about controlling your environment. Every day you are bombarded with endless information, social media, news, empty conversations, and distractions that drain your mental energy. Have you ever felt mentally exhausted, as if your brain is overloaded? You scroll through your phone, consuming content mindlessly, only to realize you've gained nothing of value, just a cluttered mind and a hollow feeling. This is the noise you need to eliminate. Try something simple. Tomorrow morning, instead of reaching for your phone the moment you wake up, sit in silence for 10 minutes. No news, no messages, no conversations, just you and your thoughts. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, but soon you'll notice a shift. Your mind begins to clear. You stop reacting to the flood of information and start creating your own direction. You begin to observe more, think more, and, most importantly, choose your words and actions with greater intent. Silence does not mean the absence of communication. It means intentional communication. Instead of reacting instantly to something that upsets you, pause. Observe your emotions. Ask yourself, is this really worth responding to? Most of the time, the answer will be no. As you begin to embrace silence, You will notice how much unnecessary energy you were wasting. Conversations that once felt important will reveal themselves as distractions. Arguments you once felt compelled to engage in will lose their appeal. You will find yourself responding less, but being heard more. Silence is not weakness. It is the greatest strength you can cultivate. It forces people to pay attention when you do speak. It makes your words carry weight. It allows you to navigate life with more control, more confidence, and more clarity. But silence alone isn't enough. To truly command influence, you must also know when to speak and how to do it with precision. That is the art of refined communication, the lesson that awaits you next. Number 7, fewer words, greater impact. Have you ever met someone who, the moment they speak, commands the attention of an entire room? Meanwhile, others talk endlessly, yet no one truly listens. The difference isn't in the tone of their voice or their eloquence. It lies in how they use their words. Few but impactful. This isn't just a skill, it's an art. Think back to a time when you encountered a salesperson who talked too much. They went on and on about their product, bombarding you with reasons why you should buy it. But instead of convincing you, their words only made you want to escape the conversation as quickly as possible. Now contrast that with a salesperson who simply asked you a few thoughtful questions, listened intently, and then offered a concise yet precise recommendation. That's the person you're more likely to trust. The Stoics understood that mastery in communication isn't about speaking more or less. It's about speaking at the right moment and with purpose. Epictetus once wrote, "Let silence be your goal for the most part. Say only what is necessary and be brief about it." This doesn't mean you should never speak, but rather that when you do, make sure your words carry weight. Consider the story of Jesus and the woman caught in adultery. The religious leaders dragged her before him, eager to test and condemn him. They asked, "Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say?" It was a trap. If he spared her, they would accuse him of defying the law. If he upheld the punishment, he would appear merciless. But rather than responding immediately, Jesus remained silent. He stooped down and wrote on the ground with his finger. The crowd, expecting an immediate answer, stood in anticipation. But silence often creates discomfort. It forces people to reflect. Then with a single sentence, he overturned the entire situation. "He who is without sin among you, let him be the first to throw a stone at her." No lengthy defense, no grand speech, just one sentence. Yet it was enough to pierce through their self-righteousness. One by one, the accusers dropped their stones and walked away, the oldest leaving first, until only Jesus and the woman remained. A single phrase had extinguished the crowd's fury, shifted the balance of power, and imparted a profound lesson on mercy, self-awareness, and the power of carefully chosen words. This power of silence and precision isn't just for religious figures or philosophers. It's for anyone who seeks to be truly heard. Think of some of the most powerful speeches in history. Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech, John F. Kennedy's "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," or Nelson Mandela's inspiring words on freedom. These speeches were not long-winded ramblings. They were carefully crafted, filled with meaningful pauses and words chosen with precision. You don't need to be a saint or a historical leader to harness that power. You simply need to be more mindful of the words you speak. Try this in your next conversation. Resist the urge to respond immediately. Pause for a moment. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is what I'm about to say truly necessary? If it isn't, let silence be your answer. If it is, speak concisely but with intention. When you cultivate the ability to speak less, yet say more, people will start paying closer attention to your words. You will no longer be part of the background noise that drowns in an ocean of endless chatter. Instead, your words will stand out, like a lighthouse guiding others through the storm of meaningless talk. So here's the question. Will you continue speaking endlessly, only to be unheard? Or will you choose to say less, ensuring that every word you speak truly matters? Try practicing silence for a day. Only speak when it's necessary. You'll notice something remarkable. People will start listening more, and you'll begin to experience the quiet strength of restraint. And if you truly want to prove yourself, stay tuned for the next lesson, where actions will speak louder than words. Number 8, let your actions speak louder. Imagine this. You're at a gathering, and someone is passionately talking about their big plans. They're going to start a business, hit the gym every day, read 100 books this year, and travel the world. They describe every detail vividly, and people around them are nodding, impressed. But months later, you see that same person in the exact same place, doing the exact same things, with nothing to show for all their ambitious words. Sound familiar? Maybe you know someone like that. Or maybe at some point, you've been that person too. The truth is, the more we talk about what we're going to do, the more our brain tricks us into feeling like we've already done it. Every time we announce a goal, people's encouragement, "That's amazing, you can do it," gives us a temporary sense of accomplishment. But in reality, we haven't moved an inch. Our motivation is drained by our own words, and without action, those dreams remain just that, dreams. Think about that friend who always says they'll wake up at 5 a.m. to exercise, eat healthy, and get in the best shape of their life. They talk a lot about fitness, but a month later they're still skipping workouts and ordering junk food. Their words lose meaning because they aren't backed by action. Now contrast that with someone who simply starts. No grand announcements, no seeking validation, just quiet, consistent action. One day, you notice they've lost weight. They're stronger, healthier, more confident. They didn't need to talk about it. Their results did the talking for them. If you truly want to change, act first. Let others notice later. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." If you want to be disciplined, don't just say you will be, live like someone who is disciplined. If you want to be wealthy, don't waste time endlessly discussing investment strategies. Work, learn, and let your results speak for themselves. Look at truly successful people. Have you ever heard Lionel Messi boasting about being the best footballer? He trains, plays, and lets his skills speak for themselves. Have you ever seen a great artist constantly talking about their talent? They create, refine, and let their work tell the story. How to let your actions speak. 1. Stay silent until you've made real progress. If you have a goal, instead of telling everyone about it, just start one step at a time, consistently, without announcing it. When you stay quiet, you remove the pressure to perform and free yourself from the expectations of others. This allows you to fully focus on the process. 2. Let your actions be your strongest statement. If you want to earn respect, don't talk about how you deserve it. Carry yourself in a way that naturally commands it. If you want to succeed, don't brag about your potential. Produce results that make your abilities undeniable. Even the Bible emphasizes this principle. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. There's no need to boast, no need to prove anything with words. Just live by your values and your light will shine naturally. People will see your worth without you ever needing to declare it. Now think about something you once declared but never followed through on. It's time to stop talking about it and start doing it. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. The world doesn't need more people who talk. It needs more people who act. Will you be one of them? 9, clarity comes from stillness. Have you ever truly asked yourself what you really want? Not the answer you give when someone asks, not the dream shaped by society's expectations, but the quiet truth that emerges when the noise around you fades away. In today's fast-paced world, silence is rare. There is an expectation to always speak, react, and express yourself. Your phone buzzes with endless notifications. Conversations fill every spare moment. Information floods your mind, leaving no space for reflection. But if you never pause, how can you ever know what truly matters? Silence is not an escape, it's a strategy. It is the space where your mind recalibrates, where your thoughts settle, and where your vision becomes clear. Think about the times you've reacted too quickly, spoken without thinking, or made impulsive decisions. If you had paused, if you had embraced even a brief moment of stillness, perhaps you would have seen things differently. When you are silent, you don't just hear others. More importantly, you hear yourself. Consider the people who navigate life with wisdom and strength. They don't rush to speak. They listen, they reflect. They allow their thoughts to mature before turning them into actions. A skilled archer does not release an arrow without carefully aiming. A chess master does not move a piece in impatience. And a person in control of their life does not let fleeting emotions dictate their words and choices. Have you ever felt lost about your future? Stuck between choices, uncertain of the right path? If so, it's not because you lack the ability to decide. It's because you haven't given yourself the silence to listen. Only in stillness can you separate what the world tells you to pursue from what your heart truly seeks. Silence clarifies your goals. A successful entrepreneur isn't the one who endlessly talks about plans, but the one who pauses to reflect on what truly matters. A great artist isn't the one who constantly creates, but the one who takes time to ponder their craft. A person who masters life isn't the one who rushes into action, but the one who steps back long enough to see the bigger picture. When you truly understand yourself, the opinions of others lose their grip on you. You no longer feel pressured to meet expectations that aren't your own. You stop chasing things that don't align with your values. You stand firm, even when storms rage around you, because you know exactly what you stand for. If you feel lost today, take a moment of silence. Not to distract yourself, not to pass the time, but to face yourself. Sit still, do nothing. Watch your thoughts come and go. You may be surprised to find that the answers you seek aren't out there in the world. They've been inside you all along. And once you realize this, you'll understand that true power doesn't come from speaking more, but from knowing more. We have just explored 9 profound lessons on the power of silence, not as a sign of passivity, but as a conscious and powerful choice. When you master your words, you master your thoughts. When you master your thoughts, you master your actions. And when you master your actions, you shape your destiny. From this moment on, try to observe the world in silence. Listen more, react less. Let your words carry weight and let your presence make an impact without the need for noise. If you found value in this video but haven't liked it yet, now is the time. Your support helps more people discover these important lessons. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced the power of silence firsthand? And don't forget to share this video with those who need it most, because sometimes the greatest gift we can give others is clarity in the quiet. Lastly, hit that subscribe button. There's so much more to come. See you on the next journey.